You are Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Fish fans? Welcome to your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, and I think I said Fins fans. I think I said Fish fans. I mean Fins fans. And, of course, we do the Locked On Marlins POSTCAST here every day as well. But happy to have you here tonight. The Dolphins wrapping up the preseason on the road against the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay. The starters didn't play. The Buccaneers played theirs. They went down, scored right away, and end up winning the game 24-14. Baker Mayfield looking real good for Tampa Bay as well in this one. And, hey, you know what? Preseason beats the preseason. It gets real starting now. And, of course, they don't play next week. They open it up the following Sunday at home against Jacksonville. Then on Thursday night, it's those Buffalo Bills. And nobody hates coming to South Florida more than the Buffalo Bills do in September. No doubt about that. All right, Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. We will be here every week after your Dolphins games all season long on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, which means it's not just Locked On Dolphins, which we love with Kyle every single day, right? You love Kyle, and then you love Alex Dono, Locked On Canes. Well, now we have Locked On Dolphins and Locked On Canes POSTCAST, meaning after every game, Dolphins, after every game, Hurricanes. We will be here live. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but we'll be here live after every game. Dolphins and Canes all year long. The Locked On Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts. That means Spotify. That means Apple Music. That means iHeart. That means Stitcher. That means Podbean. That means everywhere and everywhere as well. However you say it, we'll be there. Wherever you find it, we'll be there. As well as here on YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And remember, okay? Very important to remember that we're free. We are free everywhere you find us on the Locked On Podcast Network. And by the way, that Miami triumvirate, this triangle we got here, don't say I'm part of the Illuminati. I'm just kidding. With myself, with Alex Dono, and with Kyle Krabs, we are, I think, as good as you're going to find covering football in any city, on any network, anywhere on God's green earth. And I will talk like that on that one because I believe it with all my heart. Today's episode of your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST is brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and you get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And I'm going to tell you what, Fins fan, I am going to tell you what. You heard? The best thing about that is I'm doing it myself. Unbelievable deal. Unbelievable offer from FanDuel. Think about that. 3 weeks free. $5 you bet. Done deal. Done deal. Thank you very much, FanDuel. Appreciate that. And then when you want to keep it after, it's going to be a great price and a great special too. And you watch the NFL games all season long. All right, so the Dolphins don't play their starters. No Tua, no Tyreek Hill. Know what I'm saying? None of those guys. Literally none of them. So you have no Tua. You have no Tyreek Hill. You have no Mostert. You have no Achane. You have no Barrios. You have no Waddle. You still have no OBJ. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even have, obviously, Ingold isn't playing. And, I mean, you just go right down the line, right? The first team offensive line didn't play. And defense, too, the starters weren't in there. Calais Campbell, Jaylen Phillips, Bradley Chubb's not going to start the season. So you're going to have to see the rookie, Chop Robinson, and some of the other guys on defense maybe standing up against the run. Channing Tindall had a good game tonight. Channing listed at third team, right inside linebacker on the depth chart, but he led the team in tackles with 11, had a big game tonight. So you saw some guys stepping up in the absence of the big stars, and you want to see that, right? You want to see how good you think Jaylen Wright's going to be, or Jeff Wilson Jr., if he's going to make the team. You want to see who's going to be the QB2. Is it going to be Mike White, who started tonight? Is it going to be Skylar Thompson, who played much better than White tonight until he threw a late pick, which maybe just kind of, I don't know. Who knows? Mike McDaniel didn't even coach the second half. He stepped aside and just kind of chilled. And, you know, of course, the starters and the stars did not play. So you have to think about those things and keep them in your mind when talking about, the Dolphins and this game and everything that happened tonight. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's something that you're headed to the regular season. They didn't want to get anybody hurt. It's traditionally what they do. They play them in that second game for a series like they did last week, right? But a good job tonight by a couple of guys looking to make this team. And I'll tell you this, the first one that I really was impressed with tonight was Malik Washington, 6th-round pick out of Virginia, the receiver, blazing speed on the kick return tonight, 45-yarder, right? 28-yard punt return, a handoff around the end for 40 yards. And, you got to think of it. River Craycraft got hurt. Eric Ezekanma is injured. You know what I'm saying? OBJ is on the PUP list. It might be enough for Malik Washington to make this team. And as a return guy and a situational receiver, maybe a slot guy. And Skylar Thompson played a better game than Mike White tonight. Looking at that backup quarterback battle right now. The Dolphins only used 2 players tonight who might be starters. You know what I'm saying? And that is thanks to our guy, Joe Shad in the Palm Beach Post. Got it up quickly, too, right after the game. Good job by the Palm Beach Post and by Joe is always great. Always great. Trying to keep as many players as possible healthy is always the goal. Patrick McMorris was in boots, the safety, so he wasn't good, or in a boot. Tua really should be great with the contract, with all the stuff that the Dolphins did, all the players they paid, the weapons around him. Absolutely. But I will tell you this, if Tua Tagovailoa is not healthy all season long, if he gets hurt at all, if he misses any time whatsoever, they could be in deep trouble. Maybe a game or two depending on the schedule. But, man, this is Skylar Thompson or Mike White. Really not anything right now for them to write home about. Would they consider adding a veteran backup QB? And they might have to, because these two guys, to me, although I think Skylar Thompson was all right. And then, the running back room is loaded with Mostert, Achane, Jaylen Wright. That's dynamic. That's incredible. Jaylen Wright's going to get some run this year. Jaylen Wright's going to get some playing time this year for sure. I can see that coming a mile away for him. Malik Washington, too, for that matter. Anthony McFarland Jr., Hayden Rucci had a good game. Rucci had 5 catches, 44 yards, and the touchdown. Jaylen Wright, 4 for 41 receiving, 7 for 36 rushing. They featured him a lot tonight. Jeff Wilson Jr. probably not going to make the team. Didn't get much tonight. I shouldn't say he's probably not going to make the team. I'll save that for Kyle. That's his department, man. But Channing Tindall looked good tonight. You know what I'm saying? But only 2 guys who might be starters playing in this game for Miami. Baker Mayfield, 3 for 3, 54 yards, all on that opening drive against the backup defense, obviously. Rachaad White, 4 carries and 16 yards with that starting unit for Tampa Bay. Yeah, Skylar Thompson deserves that. I mean, yeah, of course, he definitely deserves that. And John Embry, who is the special teams coach, or is he the tight ends coach, rather? Yeah, Mike McDaniel stepped aside. Yeah, tight ends and assistant head coach. Yeah, you had Ingold on the telecast with Goldie and Bo. Yeah, Channing Tindall has been really good for this preseason. I think that he might make the team. Storm Duck, the rookie corner, gave up a touchdown tonight. He had a good camp. Is he going to make the team? Undrafted rookie. What's his name? Jason. Oh gosh, guys. Jason what? I can't think of it right now. He's the kid from Wisconsin. Didn't get drafted. Nice pass breakup tonight. It's good to see. Good to see guys fighting for spots on the team and making plays and, trying to make things happen and make that roster and be a part of that opening day. You know what I'm saying? That's incredible, right? Unbelievable. Will Odell Beckham Jr. ever play for the Dolphins is another question. Will he ever even play? Knee concerns, right? He has not taken a single practice or game rep, and it's August 23rd. Unreal. Not one. He's wearing the jersey on the sideline with the hoodie on it. I mean, he's wearing the jersey. He thinks he's going to play. He's wearing the jersey. But we shall see. You are watching your Locked On Dolphins postcast. That's right, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. The preseason is in the books. It's donezo. Mission accomplished. You had Tua and the starters on offense playing one, and it wasn't even his receivers or anything like that, but playing one series in that middle game. They go right down the field and they score. The Atlanta game that they open with, and then this game, just auditioning some of those guys who you're not sure if they're going to make the team or not, giving some of those guys a chance to prove themselves and maybe steal a spot. We'll talk about that here on the show as we continue. But then also you had that game last week where obviously they wanted to play the starters a little bit and just, go right down the field and score like they did last week. And Tua led the offense and obviously did a great job against the Commanders and Jaylen Daniels. And tonight, it was all about just playing those backups, looking to see who's going to be QB2. If either guy is going to seize the opportunity, will it be A, Mike White, B, Skylar Thompson, C, bring in someone else? Yeah, that is a point of concern. The running backs loaded, the receivers loaded, but thin with the depth, with injuries early in the year. The defense, can they stop the run? So many question marks heading into the regular season. We'll take a look at all that and more. You are watching your Locked On Dolphins postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcast, plus here on YouTube, and free every single day. Jim Grieshaber at Jim Gries _ on social media on the Locked On Podcast Network. This episode of Locked On Dolphins postcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. And it is an unbelievable sponsor, to tell you what. It really is fantastic with BetterHelp. This show is sponsored, of course, by BetterHelp. And, self-care is a non-negotiable for me. I do self-care. I practice self-care every day. I put my feet on the ground, the bare earth every day. I do ice baths. I do saunas. I do exercise, I lift, I box, I do all kinds of things for self-care, journaling, meditating. But I'll tell you what, therapy day is something that's really important to me. My schedule's packed. I have kids' activities, big work projects all the time between Locked On and ESPN and more. It's easy to let my priorities slip, and my priority has to be self-care. It's a non-negotiable. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are even more important because they really are what make you go. More important than ever. I've benefited from therapy throughout my whole entire adult life. I don't know what I would have done without it. I've been abandoned, abused. I've sabotaged myself more than anybody you've ever met, and I still keep rising. And therapy is a big part of the reason why. If you're thinking of starting therapy like me, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule and mine. For me, just fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Man, BetterHelp is dope. I will tell you that. And I am a big proponent of therapy. And look at Mike McDaniel. He needs therapy. Every NFL coach needs therapy. Look at that hair. It should be gone by now, but no way, man. He does. He looks like a South Beach savage right now. You see the meme going around on social media of him when he came in looking like an assistant accountant. Now he's like, yo, front of Prime 112, dog, me and D-Wade and little baby in them. Let's go. Let's go. And South Beach will do that to you. I love South Beach. And I remember specifically moving to Miami at the age of 22. And you can see on my face, that was a long time ago, baby. That was 1994. And I was coming down to Miami to finish up my college degree at the U. Shout out Canes. Shout out Locked On Canes postcast starting next week when the goodbye Gators storm coming in, blow y'all, kill y'all on the side of the road. spin it around by the tail, and throw them all on the ground all over Gainesville when the storm comes through and ends the Gators season before it even starts next Saturday in the park on my grandmother's birthday. Oh, baby. Canes and Gators coming up next Saturday. Dolphins and Jaguars the weekend after that on September 8th, the opener on the 12th on Thursday night. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, coming on down into the heat and humidity, baby. Come on in, fools. Come on in. Let's go. So that's 2 games in 5 days to start the season. And it is going to be unbelievable for the Dolphins this year. The Marlins playing out the string, but every day we have the postcast there as well. In fact, right after this, we're going to do that one right here on Locked On Sports Miami. All right, 24-14, the Bucs win. Obviously, you see that there. No Tua, no stars, no number 1 player in the NFL as voted by his peers. Tyreek Hill, no Jaylen, Waddle, no Mostert, no Achane, no starting offensive line. Only 2 guys who might be starters saw action tonight. And Patrick Paul, as much hype as there's been around him on the offensive line, he's got arms that are a mile long. He's going to have some growing pains too. He got beat for a sack tonight that could have turned into a strip and a touchdown that was called back. Greer Jr., the linebacker from Arkansas, returned it. It got called back. He also had a late interception off Skylar Thompson. And you talk about QB2, Mike White versus Skylar Thompson tonight. Mike White played the first half, 5 for 9, 37 yards. No interceptions, no touchdowns. You know, he didn't really do anything. They didn't really move the ball. Malik Washington had the 40-yard end around. But 5 of 9 for 37 yards, and you're averaging 4 yards per completion? No, dog. No. Absolutely not. Okay? Absolutely not. Skylar Thompson, 19 of 27, 190. 2 touchdowns, an interception. They looked more fluid. They looked more confident. They looked more comfortable. They just look better with him at QB. They just look better with Skylar Thompson. He's got to be QB2. In my mind, he's QB2. One of these guys, you know what I mean? He's QB2. He is QB2. And then Kyle Trask with Tampa Bay, 17 of 24, 141, 2 touchdowns. Again, depth is going to be a concern for Miami because some of these guys that were playing tonight are going to be counted on to step up and make contributions throughout the season. You can't be letting teams do what Tampa Bay did tonight against these guys. But Malik Washington, the 6th-round receiver from Virginia, Jaylen Wright, the 3rd-round running back from Tennessee. I mean, these guys, Patrick Paul, rookies looking good. Rookies looking good. Of course, we're going to take a look at the schedule, and we're going to take a look at what's coming up, obviously, for the season. We're going to take a look at the injuries. You know what I'm saying? We are going to take a look at all those things as we continue. Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Dolphins Postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries at Jim Gries _ on social media. I was just looking for something there for a second, but you know what? I mean, look, you were looking for something tonight. You knew the starters weren't going to be in there, right? You knew there'd be no Tua. The receivers haven't played at all this entire camp, this entire preseason, right? OBJ hasn't even practiced, but you know. When you're the coaches, you know what you're getting from Tyreek Hill. You know what you're getting from Waddle. You've seen guys in practice who haven't played in the games. They do this every year. The starters, and only some, including Tua, played 1 series in game 2 out of 3. It was the middle game, only 1 series. They didn't play at all in the opener against Atlanta. They didn't play at all in the finale tonight at Tampa. You knew what you were getting. You got out of here with your number 1 objective accomplished, which was what? What? Que pasa? Yeah. No injuries. Boom. Number 2, you really wanted to see if you have a backup quarterback and who he is. I think Skylar Thompson, 4-year starter from Kansas State. You've seen him plenty of times now. He's ready at this stage of his career to be the backup to Tua Tagovailoa, which means you really can't afford to have Tua get hurt. More on that later. But Skylar Thompson, I believe, has overtaken Mike White completely now. And I don't think White has a chance at this point to win that backup job. I think Malik Washington made the team, if not tonight, then throughout camp, throughout these games. The 40-yard run tonight, the punt return for 28 yards, the big speed on the kickoff return. This dude is the real deal. He's going to be an awesome slot receiver and return guy for this team, and I think he'll be all right there. Obviously, you have Barrios, but still, man, returning those kickoffs is cool with him. And then Hayden Rucci had a good game, almost 9 yards per reception for him. 5 catches for 41 yards, 44 yards. But Jaylen Wright, really the star of the show, the third-round running back out of Tennessee, along with Malik Washington. They will contribute with Mostert and with Achane. I'm going to tell you this about Raheem Mostert. His knees have taken a beating. It's been a lot of carries for him. I don't know how much he can take, how much more he has. With Achane there, with Jaylen Wright, I believe Jaylen Wright's really going to be pushing for playing time week in and week out. He's going to get his carries. He's going to get his touches in the passing game. He's great out of the backfield as well, 10 yards per reception tonight. I love the potential this kid has shown. Patrick Paul with those telephone pole arms like Richmond Webb. Remember Richmond Webb protecting Dan Marino's blind side? Marino never got touched for years, even though you could actually hit quarterbacks back then. Imagine that. You used to be able to hit people in the NFL that had numbers for quarterback. Anyway, we don't want to get into that. We love the game anyway, but it will be flag football soon if they don't stop changing the rules. And that might not be the worst thing in the world, is like, you have to tackle from only the waist to the chest or something, or the shoulders. And, a lot of the rules changes have been great, but those standouts, Washington and Wright and Patrick Paul and guys like that. And then you're really going to need Chop Robinson from Penn State, the defensive end. He's real outside linebacker. Got to step it up, man. Chop. I love myself sometimes. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. I hope you like it too. Locked On Dolphins postcast. I'm excited for anything but Marlins right now. I've been doing this postcast every day all season long. I have 1 month left. I love this team. I hate this team. I love this team. I hate this team. They have no identity. They have no style. There's a revolving door of players with the trades and everything else, but they somehow always bring the tying run to the plate every game. The Miami Marlins. And the Dolphins are going to have a good year. The Canes going to have a good year as well. It hasn't been this much excitement heading into a football season in the MIA, in the 305, in the 954, in the 561, and everywhere else, loaded with your Dolphins and Canes fans in a long time. Myself, Kyle Krabs, Alex Dono, day in, day out. You everydayers are ready to be spoiled right here on Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, going to wrap up the show in just a minute. Un momento, por favor. We will talk about the injury list. We will talk about the start of the regular season, the final cut down. Woo! We'll do that next right here. Locked On Dolphins postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, right? Well, that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. It's no secret. Everybody's on LinkedIn. Everybody is on LinkedIn. When you want to reach someone for your career, whether you want a job, whether you're hiring, anything, you go to LinkedIn. And LinkedIn Jobs has all the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and free. Let me repeat, faster and free. LinkedIn has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team, okay? No question about it. There is absolutely no place better than LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job right now, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users do not visit other leading job sites, meaning, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time and resources to hire. They're constantly finding new ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even quicker, even easier. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. You should too. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's right, linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Don't they always? To everything. Come on, not getting away from that. Thank you so very much for making Locked On Dolphins postcast your first watch/listen today. Now go listen to the Locked On Fantasy Football podcast. That's right, Kyle Krabs all day, every day, baby. Locked On Dolphins too. You don't know the name? You should. You don't know the shows? You should. You're going to get daily insight to the best fantasy draft strategies so you can win your league this season. You can find the link to Locked On Fantasy Football in the descriptions so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. That's right. We are loving it. All right. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. Locked On Dolphins postcast on your Saturday, August 23rd. It is not the 4th of July, but it was. No, I'm kidding. It really was, but I don't know why I'm doing this. Anyway, Malik Washington, big game tonight for Miami. Jaylen Wright, these guys bringing in speed, bringing in that playmaking ability that this team is so loaded with. And if Odell Beckham Jr. isn't going to play, I like Malik Washington to possibly step up, have a decent year, maybe score some touchdowns, make some plays for sure, moving the chains. I like this kid. He can help you in all ways, man. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He makes people miss. He's got speed. He can return kicks. He can return punts. And he is a valuable guy to have around. And even just to have him on that scout team, even just to have him on that practice squad, right, where he can be out there mimicking and emulating some of the biggest and best playmakers in the league. What a luxury and an option to have. And then you have a Jaylen Wright as well. And, Patrick Paul finishes out a nice preseason. And, I don't know about Chop. I don't know about Chop Robinson. We going to find out. We going to see about him. I'm not really sure. I like Channing Tindall, though. 12 tackles tonight. I thought it was 11. They gave him credit for another one. Elijah Campbell had a good game. Daquan Jackson had a good game. Curtis Bolton had a good game. I don't know what's going to happen with the cuts. I really don't. It's interesting, right? I don't really know. It's very, very interesting when you're thinking about who's going to be cut, who's on the bubble. Who is on the bubble? And so there's a lot of guys and a lot of interesting things that, the only repeat starters from the Washington game were Robert Jones and Lester Cotton. Those are the two guys, the offensive linemen. Tua didn't play. Reek didn't play. Ezukanma didn't play. Now he's and Patrick McMorris, another rookie DB. He had a nice camp. McMorris is another rookie with Malik Washington, with Jaylen Wright, and with Patrick Paul, who I think can really help them. And Chop Robinson, they got a nice rookie class. They have a lot of guys who are going to help them. Ethan Bonner, maybe Saron Neal at cornerback. Tyndall, not bad. But the offense for Tampa Bay, the starters went right down the field. 7 plays, 70 yards. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Mike White got the call before Skylar Thompson. And I just don't think, Malik Washington had the catch early in the game. I don't know. He was the star of the first half for sure. He definitely was. Patrick Paul got beat tonight, though. He got beat. Yeah, Tyndall seemed like he was in on every play. That was something. He was really good tonight. Channing really played a great game. And I thought that was, very telling for him to play a game like that. And I think there's one dude that, Storm Duck. I like him, but he got beat for a touchdown and made it 17-0 in the second quarter. It's going to happen. You're not going to go nuts and cut a guy because he got beat for one score, right? But you are going to make sure that you're really, they need help. They need depth. The depth on the defensive front, they got to remember they don't have Wilkins to stop the run anymore. God, do you go to the Raiders? How does anyone go there? But, money. There's a lot of money there, and that's why Mark Perry is going to be on this team. I think the safety, he looked good. And I don't know. I don't know if Jody Forston's going to make the team. He dropped a pass tonight. Very close. He's on the bubble. Rucci had a holding penalty, but he had a good game. Patrick Paul got beat, and he had a false start. So there are some things that they really need to work on. But the explosiveness of Jaylen Wright and Malik Washington, more than anything to me tonight, without everybody else playing, on a team with Hill and Waddle and Mostert and Achane and the 4x100 relay team that could probably run in the Olympics for any country besides the USA and Jamaica. Maybe. And maybe one or two of those guys would get on those teams, right? Then you got Jaylen Wright. Then you throw in Malik Washington. They use their draft picks on playmakers. They pay their top playmakers on offense. They gave Tua the grip. This is how you win and run a franchise in the NFL right now. Are you listening? Any other team? I hope not, actually. Let the Dolphins keep doing it. You get your QB, your franchise QB, like did with Tua. alarming what they talked about with Flores, too, by the way, in that interview on the Le Batard show. If you haven't seen it, check it out, where he talked about the way Flores treated him early in his career. But you take a guy like Tua with all that talent, you give him all the confidence, you coach him up, you build him up. Here you go, Tua. You're the man. You were the man at Alabama when you were a freshman and you took over for Jaylen Hurts and won the national championship. You were the man then. You are the man now, bro. And we are paying you, and we're paying your weapons, and we're drafting more weapons and paying more weapons, and we're drafting an offensive lineman. And Paul, we are drafting to protect you and to give you weapons. We're paying you. We're paying them. Let's go. Let's go. That's what you do in the NFL right now. You pay your weapons, you pay your quarterback, and you go. You go, 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 go. And that's all the Dolphins are going to do this year is go. With Mostert, with Achane, with Jaylen Wright, right? All those receivers, and I can name them all, right? Oh, there's Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Barrios and all these. I like Malik Washington, and I like Craycraft, and I like all those guys. I really do. I really do. I like all those guys. I like Ezukanma. I like him too. McMorris, the safety, is a playmaker on defense. They needed him, but they spent the money and the draft picks mostly on offense because they needed to show their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, you can be the guy. You're going to be the MVP. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to take us there. We believe in you. We believe in this team. We believe in this offense, and now is our time. This is the season for the Miami Dolphins. Since Dan Marino against Joe Montana, next year I'm buying Joe. Marino never got to buy again, and you know the commercial I'm talking about, the soda machine. Montana buys the soda because he won the Super Bowl. No, 38-16 in Palo Alto. That's the last time you saw that helmet on the Super Bowl end zone, painted on the field. Nothing. The last time the Dolphins played in an AFC championship game, 84 was the Super Bowl. What was it, 92 against the Bills when they beat them 29-10? Wasn't that the last time? They've had nothing since then, right? Absolute zilch. What's going to change this year? Tua's the best quarterback they've had since Marino, and he is rising. Come on up for the rise. And that's for you, Pat Riley. Little Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, baby. Wrong sport, but I love Pat Riley. Love Bruce Springsteen. Why not do it? Tua, with those weapons, could be the MVP of the league. 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns with these weapons. Dude, he is about to be sick and twisted and just dominating teams. And then the Canes, too, next week in the Swamp against the Gators. We will be here after that game live with the postcast for the Canes. We'll be here after the Dolphins season opener on September 8th against the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence at Hard Rock Stadium. And then Thursday night, right after that, the Buffalo Bills coming into that heat and humidity early in the season to be exhausted by the fourth quarter and fall to maybe 0-2 playing 4 days later. But we will see. Didn't learn a lot tonight about much with the Dolphins in terms of what we're going to see in the regular season. Only some of those rookies flying all over the field. Props to them, and props to you for watching right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's all there is, Fins fans. There is no more. I love you, the Mad Dog Jim Mandich. Thank you so much for being a valuable mentor, as I was an intern on Sunday Night Sports Wrap and a hired to do production work for his company, MZM Productions, for years, on stuff like the Miami Hurricanes, on calling games on the ACC network and producing the coaches shows and doing the studio shows with FIU and calling high school games with Michael Mandich. And just Jim was a wonderful guy. And I love to do that little tribute to the Mad Dog, the late, great, amazing Jim Mandich, who would be in heaven and is in heaven, but would be in football heaven, getting ready for this season with this team right now. Tua and all those weapons getting ready to start the season on September 8th. Until then, Fins fans, keep your game tight and your mind right. Keep watching Locked On Dolphins every day with Kyle. It is legit. Some of the best content you will see online. And thank you again for making Locked On Dolphins Postcast one of your first things you do every day. It's free. Now watch fantasy football on Locked On as well. Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Get insights to the best fantasy draft strategies so you can win your league this season. All right, Fins fans, thank you so much for being here. Keep your game tight and your mind right. We are out of here. 24-14. The Dolphins lose the preseason finale in Tampa against the Bucs without any starters except maybe two on the field for this one. We will talk to you soon. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries. Make it a great rest of the weekend and enjoy everything you have coming with the football this season on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Sports Miami.